Hey guys, how you doing? Evan Brennan here from 360 Sports, NFL agent, and also adjunct at Chapman School of Law in Orange County. Excited to chat with you tonight a little about the NFL Draft day itself, day 1, 2, and 3 from an agent perspective and how all that all works. It's really interesting, a lot of emotion going on, a lot of strategies really going on, and quite a bit of just patience and waiting by the phone a lot of times. So here's what I do that I think is a little different, a little unique as far as me. One of the main things is make sure your clients understand where they could fall in the draft. The draft is largely unpredictable, but you should have a good sense of where your client's going to go within a range. Could something crazy happen, positive or negative? Totally. But it's your job as an agent to kind of have a sense of where he's going to go and advise him well in advance. So the agent should have talked with NFL scouts. They should have had a good sense as to what may or may not happen and kind of go from there. Managing expectations is huge. If you're not upfront with your client, one way, shape, or another, or you're grossly misinformed, that's going to hurt. So having that is a key aspect. Having said that, communication with teams is just as huge during the draft as it is before. So really kind of honing your contacts, understanding who to chat with, scouts, coaches, front office personnel is huge. If the player selected in round 1, that's going to go on in day 1. That's green room stuff in Chicago. Day two is going to be rounds 2 and 3, and those are guys that could have had first round grades in some drafts. And so day 2 guys could have been the first rounders earlier in the year that fell. So that's kind of how that works. And largely the people that are going to be on the phone are going to be general manager, if not a scout or a high-ranking scout, but usually a general manager with those calls. Call could go first to the agent. Call could go straight to the player. It really varies as far as it goes. With our firm, we gather together and we kind of have our war room where we are taking calls from teams and really waiting it out. And we're reaching out to teams to try to find out where our players go, remind teams of our players, and see whatever we can do to just keep them on the batter's circle for a potential pick. Day 3 is really important. That's rounds 4 through 7, undrafted free agency. And you see those as really tense moments for the players, a lot of variation. To be frank with you guys, there's not a huge difference in terms of where teams see guys between a priority undrafted free agent and then a guy that's going to go in the 5th round. There's not a huge difference. And so really what you're talking about there is just little bits of differences. And there could be guys that have 5th round grades that could go as priority undrafted free agents. And so it's really huge that you communicate with teams as an agent, you keep your player calm, and that you give valid information. A lot of times for undrafted guys, teams will reach out to the agent during the draft. So you could get calls from teams in the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, kind of gauging interest as for an undrafted deal. If you're dealing with a player that is going to go undrafted, looking for the best fit is really important. How many players are taken out of the position? Any contact that's happened before. Placing a player in undrafted free agency could be a big difference if he's not drafted. I always get this question, is it better for a player to get drafted or is it better for undrafted free agency? Of course, there is a slight higher chance that he's going to make the roster if he is drafted. But once you get into the 6th, 7th round, in terms of how a team sees a player, it's close. It's fairly close. And if a 7th round pick, 6th round pick, a 5th round pick just really isn't performing at a high level once you get into camp, there's several examples of teams cutting those kind of players, and there's several examples of players that have gone undrafted that have gone on to make the active roster. I see it both ways as an agent each and every year, this year being no different. So when I get that question, I always say it's on the fit. Some teams draft for need. Some teams draft for best available player. Historically, it's worked out better for the teams that draft for best available player. If they're drafting for need, and they're also signing for need, that could be a good place for a player where you only have 2 or 3 DNs, and they're going to stock up late in the draft and undrafted free agency. Players got a lot better shot, and I've seen a lot better results when sending players that regard. But players should know that 7th round and priority undrafted free agent, there's not a huge difference. So if you go priority undrafted free agent, you should understand that. It's very tense. A lot of these deals are done on the fly. Signing bonuses are flying, and undrafted free agency. And so communication between player and agent is huge. Having a plan as to where you're going to go if you don't get drafted is huge. It's of course a joyous moment. I've seen a lot of those when players get drafted, but it could be a very, very sad moment. So really communicating with your client as to what may or may not happen, making sure that he's got a good plan in place can alleviate a lot of that stress. And for him too, to kind of limit who he's around on draft day and keeping his phone clear and available to the agent can also be very helpful. We'll go over this again later on in the draft, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a kind of a prelude into that. Good chatting with you today, and look forward to meeting with you further. Again, Evan Brennan, 360 Sports. Nice meeting with you.